Welcome to From This Day Forward, a wedding industry podcast. My name's James Clarke, your host and wedding photographer behind Just James Weddings. This is a space for real conversations with couples, photographers and wedding suppliers, exploring what truly matters on a wedding day and how meaningful images can be created. Without further ado, let's jump on into the next episode. Hey, and welcome back to From This Day Forward, a wedding industry podcast. I'm super excited for this episode because wedding flowers make a massive part, or play a massive part in the way I actually go about editing the photos. Obviously, you've got the shooting of the wedding day itself, but then a lot of the work goes in behind the scenes, and probably actually about an extra 2 or 3 days go into the actual editing. Flowers play a massive part in how I actually send the galleries to my couples, and every wedding that I photograph. They get a much more personalised album based purely on the colours of the flowers. And so I'm very excited to welcome Amy from Amy Flutter Florals. Welcome Amy to the show, and can't wait to talk all things flowers with you. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Good. How was your weekend to start with?
Yeah, it was good. A lot of house stuff, renovating the bathroom and trying to paint everything and just have a calming house with 2 mental children, which is not always the case because I'm just looking around my living room. I can just see tractors and cars and it's stressing me out. So yeah, the aim is to try and tranquil the house, but it's not really working at the moment.
Yeah, and if Amy pre-warned me before recording this episode that next door's got some work going on as well, so hopefully be right.
Yeah, hopefully you can't hear it. And
we might have a dog appear as well. So there's a dog right in the corner. If you're watching, there's a dog right in the corner. So that'd be cool. I'm not a tea or a coffee drinker, but I feel like I need a coffee this morning because I had a wedding on Friday, and then I don't know if you know what a high rocks is, but I did a high rock simulation with my wife on Saturday, so my muscles are aching still a little bit this morning, but super excited again to chat about flowers. We've worked at a few weddings now together, and I absolutely love the flowers that you produce.
Thank you.
I know the last one that we had, I think you said that the frost had got to a few of them, so you had to kind of bring in some extras from elsewhere, but that's probably all part of it, isn't it? So I think let's talk about how you actually got into being a florist, and particularly in the wedding industry as well. What got you into the wedding industry?
Pure fluke, really. So I used to work in fashion in London.
Oh, cool.
Big career out of uni. Long story, so I'll keep it really short.
That's fine.
But I got made redundant and then had to find another job quite quickly, and then got made redundant from that job like a year later. Then found out I was pregnant.
Ooh.
And then COVID hit. So it was all these like things happened at once. And during the 2 redundancies, I actually did a floristry course. So my mum is a horticulturalist, so she's done it for years and years and years. And I thought, I'm never going to get into flowers. Me and my sister used to take the piss out of her all the time for knowing the Latin names of plants. And like, I just never in a million years thought I would ever end up enjoying flowers. Like, even when I first started going out with my husband, I was like, I don't even like flowers, like just get me some chocolates or whatever. So for me now to be a wedding florist and grow flowers is a complete shock to everyone, including my mum. So we got to the redundancy. I took a floristry course and I was like, I actually really enjoy this. And even if it was just helping out my mum or whatever it may have been, I just thought I had loads of redundancy money. Why not use it on doing something fun? Obviously, I went on a holiday as well, all inclusive, 5-star resort. But I did do some training as well. And at the back of that, so basically where I learned was at Bath Flower School. They were called Tallulah Rose at the time. So basically they used to buy stuff in from British growers and they used to buy stuff in from Holland, and I didn't like any of the stuff from Holland. It was just your generic roses, your lisianthus, your typical stuff that you see in wedding flowers all the time, and I just didn't like that. So I liked all the British stuff, and then I was like, as mum's a trained horticulturalist, how about you want to grow it all for me, mum? And then she kind of just laughed, and I was like, no, I'm being serious. And I was like, I don't know if it will make a career. I don't know if it will work. We could just do it for fun. And I was getting married in 2021 anyway. So I wanted mum as a personal thing anyway to grow all the flowers for our wedding anyway.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, we can use that as our base. That can kind of be my portfolio starter. We'll have everywhere in flowers, like every section done. And then that's the showstopper. I have loads of photos, and then I can start maybe a wedding business off of that. But then I happened to get a booking, I don't know how, before that. So then we were like, oh shit, we need to like up our game now and to make sure we're growing everything a year before we actually need to.
Yeah.
So our practice year was actually ended up being our first wedding. So yeah, by pure accident, I kind of got into it, and then it's just gone from strength to strength, basically.
So your mum still works with you now?
Yes, she does, and dad sometimes as well. Yeah. So anything deemed unsafe by my dad, like riding the tractor or doing anything like that, dad will do. But yeah, it's me and my mum at the moment. So she'll grow everything. I do the meetings, the front facing side of it, and all the wedding flowers and all the floristry. But yeah, she comes and helps me set up with like big installations or anything that just needs a little bit of help with. But yeah, so I work alongside my mum pretty much every single day.
Nice. I think I actually saw your mum last time. It was at
Yes, that was mum,
Kingsgate.
yeah.
So yeah. Obviously, people can go as crazy or as little as possible with flowers. What kind of like what gets you excited? Like what do you enjoy putting up at weddings? Like I feel like when couples go super crazy, or not super crazy, but like it feels like the room's really well filled with flowers. It looks amazing. So, but like some people might prefer just to go very simple, just something across the tables or whatever. But what gets you? What gets you going? What inspires you?
I like doing stuff that's very natural. I like outside weddings.
Yeah,
They
cool.
don't happen very often at the moment because of the unpredictable English weather. But I like doing outside weddings so you can enhance the natural beauty of outside, especially in different venues.
Yeah.
But then some of the venues you get in the Cotswolds are beautiful inside as well. So for me, it's the more natural elements. I like doing meadows. I do like doing asymmetric arches and stuff like that. I hate doing hoops. Absolutely hate doing the hoops at all the barns.
What's that? Is that hanging off the ceiling, you mean?
Yeah, like the
Cool.
chandeliers that hang off the ceiling. I hate doing them. Only because they're just, I don't know, like some photographers, they just don't capture it. So they pay all that money for you to do this hoop, and then they're not even in the photos. So you just have to be mindful. I just always say, imagine where your pictures are being taken, and that's where your focal flowers need to be. So then you're not wasting money on something that could be overlooked by guests, photographers, everybody. You think it's your key statement thing, but overhead hoops don't usually make it into pictures, unfortunately.
There's quite a few of the like crypts venues, don't they, that have them in the middle of the ceremony room.
Yes.
Love it.
But they usually have fake foliage on anyway, and you're not taking close-up photos of the hoop, so you're not really going to see it anyway. Probably shouldn't be saying that. I need to like up my values, but but I do say it's probably not worth it because you're not going to see it in your photos, and you're probably the only people that know it's decorated with real flowers over the fake stuff that's up there anyway, which is pretty good up there anyway. So yeah, for me, it's more ground level stuff that I prefer doing.
Yeah, I've done a few of the crypts things before and actually worked with other photographers at some of them where they have actually made the point to get like the couple even underneath the arch. The hoop, as you mentioned, and actually get photos of them underneath it, which is quite cool. But yeah, it's something where, especially probably like in the ceremony, you're not focused on taking pictures of the hoop.
Nope.
It is more like ground level because you're shooting straight at the couple or from certain angles. But yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's strange. I had a couple supposed to have an outdoor wedding. Like 20th of February this year, and then it chucked it down.
Great. Yeah.
But yeah, they were planning to have outdoor wedding, and I was just like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" But yeah, they had very simple flowers anyway, so it didn't really matter. They didn't have because there's like a little arch thing out looking over the sea, and most florists will like fill it up especially the front of it with flowers. And I don't think they'd obviously organised that, but it was lucky that they didn't obviously have it outdoors, because it would have been wasted as well. But yeah. Yeah, you can't plan for that in the UK, can you? You can't.
No.
You can't even go abroad sometimes and get nice
I know.
weather.
Yeah, but sometimes for flowers, heat sometimes is even worse.
Yeah.
So if it's too hot, all your flowers wilt, and so it's a constant battle of trying to manage: are they going to get wrecked in the rain and the wind, or are they going to wilt and die in the heat before they even make it down the aisle? So yeah, English weather is definitely a challenge.
What's your tips for brides that want to preserve their bouquets in particular, or bridesmaids flowers?
So once you've had all your photos done, they need to go in water immediately.
Yeah.
Any length of time that they spend out of water, they're just going to wilt and shrivel up, and they're not going to be their best. Any preserve artists will want them as fresh as possible.
Yeah.
So you need to have that, though, locked in a few months before your wedding, or as much time as you can give them, because they'll obviously have all these bouquets coming in from loads of different people.
Yeah.
And they'll need to slot it in to make sure they're pressing it, or whatever they may do with it, put it in resin, dry it in crystals, whichever version they do.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends. Kind of, I've had loads of different versions being sent to me. Oh, we had this done with your flowers. So people have had bookends done, or coffee tables made out of the flowers in resin. Or I have started to offer it, but it's still like trial and error where I press the flowers. So at the moment I'm kind of like, well, I'm not going to charge you unless I actually am successful.
Yeah.
Because depending on the thickness of flowers, they can go moldy in the press. And yeah, so it's like, it's a whole other thing preserving flowers. Most of mine go moldy. So I don't promise anything. And I'm like, if you do 100% want something, please send it to somebody who's got more experience than me. Because I don't want you to, put your wedding bouquet preservation in my hands if I'm not going to be 100% successful.
It's quite weird. There's a lot of brides that don't think about actually like preserving the flowers. Like, there's been a few already this year where like, oh, don't really know. But then I'd make the point of actually just taking it away from them and just say, let's put it in some water in case you do decide to do anything with them. Even with brides that want to do something with their bouquets, I'm like, right, we're done now. I'll go and put this in some water. So I'm always thinking, I'm always thinking for the bride. Yeah, I don't know, it's something I just feels quite. But yeah, it's resin's a massive one. We had our bouquet, not my bouquet, but my wife's bouquet put into resin and made some nice paperweights for a few family members, which is quite nice. The couple whose podcast released last week, they actually got theirs done in a thick like photo frame.
Oh yeah.
Filled with resin, so the whole bouquet was in the thing, which is what I've also seen online. And I thought that's such a cool idea, actually, just to get your whole bouquet. It must cost a bomb, but put the whole bouquet in a resin set photo frame, which is quite cool. But pressing is obviously a great way of doing it. But flowers is probably the only thing other than like photos or videos that you can probably, obviously you got like things like stationery and stuff that you can keep, but obviously you can't keep the food, you can't keep your hair and your makeup. You can't keep the entertainment from the evening. So like flowers are like one of the biggest things that you can probably keep from the wedding day, isn't it? So
yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of different ways. That's cool that you're doing pressing though.
Trying.
Speaking of like online stuff though, I've had a few guests on the show already that have like experienced AI coming into the industry and them getting sent photos of what they're inspired or what couples are inspired by, but purely based off of like looking at it from ChatGPT. Have you had any experiences with that, or people sending like Pinterest photos through to you? This is like my style.
Yeah, so nothing AI yet.
Interesting.
And hopefully not. But Pinterest is the absolute key thing for flowers, I think, because you can see things from all over the world, different inspirations. But what I have to try and tell people is Pinterest put stuff together that probably is fake flowers, dyed flowers, stuff that doesn't even exist. So I've had someone send to me and it's like a bright blue flower and I'm like, that just doesn't even exist. Or there's loads of flowers that aren't in season all mingled together. So either they've mixed fake flowers in with real flowers to make it look like a real bouquet.
Yeah.
But some of those things just don't grow at the same time. So I'm like, that's physically not even possible. And even you can even order it in from a wholesaler. It's just not the right time of year. So you do kind of have to manage expectations when it comes to what's actually available when they get married, which a lot of people don't understand because nobody knows flowers unless you're a florist. So yeah, it is a difficult. Most people know roses, gyp, and eucalyptus. That's the three that most people know.
Yeah.
And then usually if people say that, I'm like, I don't think maybe I'm the right florist for you if that's 100% the only three flowers that you want, because I don't grow either of those three things. So yeah, so it's managing expectations and explaining to people this is what I do. I'm not like your average florist. I am different. Yeah, so it's just educating, really.
Do you have a favourite flower at all?
I do. It's a sweet pea.
Sweet pea, interesting.
Even though that is very traditional, but I think it's more nostalgic for me as well. But yeah, I have loads of favourite flowers, but I'd say the ultimate one is a sweet pea.
Nice. Speaking of like obviously like seasons and all that jazz with wedding flowers, like forgetting how to word this, but like I know you mentioned wholesalers too, but is there anything that you say a bride gets in contact with you, do you send them like guides as to what's flowering for that time of year, or how does it kind of work for like how do you give what's the best of how am I even saying this? But like what I'm trying to say is basically like what do you send to couples to kind of give them the best like advice based on the wedding or time of year that they're having their wedding? Don't really know if that makes sense.
No, yeah, I get what you're trying to say. So usually they'll send me like inspiration or a color palette. A color palette is a very good place to start.
Yeah, cool.
If they do have specific flowers that they want, then I need to know them up front, so I can manage expectations. So if they want a peony in September, it's not going to happen. So yeah, we manage expectations. Ask for a color palette. And then the way I work is basically I work to a color palette rather than specific flowers. So whatever the best is what comes up in the field at that time, I will use that fits into the color palette. So that's why I'll list the flowers for them and they can Google them, have a look at them. And then we'll get to the point where they've actually paid a deposit. And then we will go into in-depth. So I will provide a mood board. They can come out to the farm at the time of year their wedding is, and they can see the exact flowers that are growing. And then we can rule stuff out. So some people are like, oh no, actually I don't like that. Or that's too orange. Or I just like orange. I don't like peach, or so, whatever it may be. You'll be surprised when they come out to the field what colours they do have an opinion on. When they say, oh, I'm really easy, and then they'll come out to the field and they'll be like, oh no, I don't like that, or I don't like that, or I don't like that. And then that's where you make loads and loads of notes and just make sure that every wedding you know what they like and what they don't like. And then if obviously we've got that space of time, then we can make sure when we're sowing seeds and buying stuff in for the next year, we've got enough of that colour or enough of that particular type of flower. So yeah, it all depends on the couple really. So I've got one this year, like, just do whatever you want.
Oh, really?
So yeah, which she literally came to me at a market, was like, yeah, seen your work, love it, want to book you. I was like, oh, okay. Any colours? Nah, just do whatever's the best at the time. So I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, that was a nice easy one.
I had to look on my phone just now because I've forgotten the name of my favourite flower, which is like silly because I'm just like, this is probably why I need my coffee, but I'm not a tea or coffee drinker. So dahlias is my favourite flower.
Oh yeah.
And you do some. Your bouquets that I've worked with you with have had dahlias, and then they're so like you can get them in such different colours as well, which is crazy.
Yeah, we've just been. I've been doing all my spreadsheets and stuff because we need to know what ones we've ordered in, which ones are actually going to sprout, where we've ordered them from, which ones we've dug out the ground, and we have 156 different varieties as it stands.
Oh wow.
So yeah. So it makes it difficult. But then I've got the variety to be able to do whatever colours I need to.
Yeah. When I speak about flowers, most of the time I just feel like I'm entering middle age. that and my love for country music at the moment is just making me feel very middle aged, which I'm getting towards. But yeah, it's yeah, dahlias are crazy. And what I've loved about your flowers is just how vibrant the bouquets have been, and not just that, but also like the mixture like of flowers that you put in your bouquets and your flowers, which for me just like it's just I love and you can definitely tell when like a bride gets a bouquet in the morning as well, especially the ones that you deliver, just like how instantly just fall in love with it, which is really nice. But yeah, it's yeah, hopefully I don't feel too middle aged carrying on with this conversation. But that's cool that you a lot of it's just, with regards to when couples come to your garden and stuff like that. Do you often have them come like a year in advance then, or like
I try to,
try to?
yeah. So
Yeah,
I advised couples to try and book me a year or more in
yeah,
advance, just so they can come out to the farm and see what's growing.
yeah,
Especially if they don't know flowers
yeah.
or they don't really have an idea of what they want yet. It's good to know what they don't like, so then I know what to avoid.
Yep.
And then we'll steer more into it, and then I can create a mood board or a vision board based off of that.
Yep.
And then we can hone it down a little bit. So it helps for people who, yeah, don't know what they want, or they have no idea what different types of flowers are, or they know one type of flower. Yeah, and it also helps. I have a lot of older couples as well who are like gardeners, and they appreciate flowers and they want to come out and have a look. And that's where a lot of my bookings do come from, people who do appreciate their gardens and British flowers,
Yep.
over someone who's just fishing for prices. And for them, it's just flowers are flowers. So more people that book with me are people that do appreciate flowers. But yeah, so I do advise to come out to the farm so you can see all the different types.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not making it up that I grow all the flowers.
Or your
And
mum.
it's just, I think people forget and they come and they're like, oh my God, it all grows here. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I think people just forget that flowers are grown and they don't just come in like, people see them in the supermarkets or wherever they may be.
Mm.
And you forget they do grow, from a seed all the way through. So yeah, it's nice to have people out to the farm so they can see it. Yeah, it's just a nice experience for them as well.
One thing that I always find it really interesting because I just bought some hydrangeas for Mother's Day for my wife, but like the hydrangeas that we grow in our garden from our wedding day, which is also quite nice being able to like replant some of your flowers from your wedding day. But yeah, it's just obviously they're not going to be flowering until July, August time. So it's like
about that time, yeah.
crazy that you can get flowers now in the supermarket that probably shouldn't be growing until later in the year. But
No.
probably ways that they're doing it. That's cool.
It's force grown under lamps in greenhouses
Yeah, I'd
in
imagine.
hot climates.
Yeah. Not something you do though. No, exactly. Going back to your you didn't say it was a garden, it was your farm.
Yeah.
Right. So you mentioned that you try and get people come like a year before. So as a general guide for couples that may be listening to this or whatever, when should they be thinking about booking their florist in particular?
It depends what kind of florist you're going for.
Yeah.
But if it's like a farmer florist like me,
Yep.
I would say a year or more in advance. Most bookings I get are about 18 months before the wedding.
Yep.
So we've got that time to talk about it. And it's just getting the dates booked in, because key dates, as you know, as a photographer, get booked in very, very fast.
Yep.
So for me, I just say, if you just want to book in on your absolute basic minimums, like a bridal bouquet and a buttonhole, if it's a male and female couple,
Yep.
then we'll just book off the absolute basics. And then we've got a year and a half to essentially talk about what you want and finalizing it down. So I'm very flexible in sense of, just at our first meeting, you don't have to agree to every single thing that you want at your wedding.
Yep.
As long as I know colours by a certain point, because I do need to start planting, then yeah, but I do say about a year so they can come out and look at everything at the farm. Some people don't want that. I mean, I get a lot of last minute bookings.
Do you? Ask that.
Yeah, but because we try to cover every single colour, most of the stuff I will have. It's just if you want pastels in October, then I need to know about that. because we grow mostly autumnal colours, because that's what most people book me on.
Yep.
And that's where I am the most busiest. Because I do think I've got a name for myself now as more of an autumnal florist that uses a lot of orange and a lot of autumnal
pinks.
colours. Yeah. So if you want something pastel-y, like the last wedding I did with yourself, which was all the light lilacs and stuff, then I need to know in advance, because I need to make sure I'm planting enough, or I'm planting in the polytunnel so they're protected against the frost, which I didn't do enough of last year, but we're working on it this year. So yeah, it's all a learning curve, but the earlier I know, the better, basically. But any other florist, they're ordering from Holland, so they've got a lot more flexibility in the sense that you can order in on a pre-order a week in advance, or you can go on the auctions a day before and order everything in that you need. Obviously, seasonality still has a lot to do with it and what the availability is, but you do have a lot more flexibility if you're just ordering in from Holland.
Nice. That's interesting. You have auctions for flowers. Do you have to do that online?
Yeah. So it's like a big auction house. So like your wholesaler will basically do the hard work for you, and then they put it up on like a system, and then you just pick flowers at the price, and then it comes in a van overnight from Holland.
Wow.
Yeah, and then they deliver it to your house. So yeah, it's like amazing how they do it. But yeah, it's obviously a lot of air miles and a lot of wastage that comes over, but yes, that's why I wanted to do British flowers. But obviously at sometimes the year it's completely unavoidable. Like this time of year you haven't really got much unless you want a daffodil, or ranunculus, which have started coming up in our polytunnels. So weddings at this time of year will be mostly brought in, unfortunately, but that's just the nature of English weather.
Love it. Or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a poor habit of not being able to keep flowers alive for very long. We've got a tulip downstairs at the moment. I can't remember where it's come from, but my wife's had a tulip, and that's not lasted too long. But yeah, that's so interesting. Though you come about the auction part of it, but going back to your farmer stuff, and obviously you said you're being known for like the autumnal flowers. Probably the one wedding that sticks out to me, where we've worked together, is a few years ago now. Actually, was Brian and Josie's wedding at Clifton Observatory. That was the first time I actually saw your work, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, "This lady here, she's awesome. Her flowers are amazing." But yeah, those flowers were insane. A mixture of peaches, pinks, oranges, few whites in there, I can't remember, but yeah, just amazing stuff. So in terms of obviously people picking colors and stuff, I know you mentioned it briefly. Yeah, so when couples actually get in touch with you, they've kind of seen what kind of flowers and colors that they like. What's kind of like, say if it is off season, what do you do then when you reply to a couple that inquire of you with a set style and flower in mind?
So if it's out of season, for example, like January, February, March, April, there are certain flowers that will come up anyway. So there are British flowers down in Cornwall that do force flowers up. So they have obviously masses of polytunnels, masses of money. Everything's grown under lamps and on heat pads. So everything does come up. So you can get flowers, but they are still very, very limited.
Okay.
So you are looking at tulips, daffodils, ranunculus, bluebells, snowdrops. There are certain things that you can get that are British. But for my kind of style, I do like to use, as you said, quite a wide variety of flowers within my work. So then if I can't source it from a British, either grower local to me or down in Cornwall, because there are wholesalers for British flowers that you can order in from, which I had to do a couple of weeks ago for a corporate order. So most of it's Cornwall, they just seem to get the better weather. So if not, then I do unfortunately have to go to Holland, because people still need wedding flowers. I can't leave you without flowers. but I will order in intentionally and seasonally. So it will be a case of, if I'm going to use ranunculus, then I'll just order more ranunculus in. If I'm going to order daffodils, I'll just order more daffodils in. So it will always be seasonal work. I won't order in an exotic flower, or I won't order in roses. For some reason, I just don't like using roses. Or gypsophilia or anything like that. So it will still be my style, still like Britishy looking flowers, but based on the season. So this time of year it'll be tulips, daffs, ranunculus, and then later in the season it will be dahlias, snapdragons, etc. And then as you get into a winter wedding, it's more chrysanthemums, your berry foliages, stuff like that. So it is still ordered in seasonally, rather than ordering in random flowers at random times of year, or things that you get all year round that really shouldn't be available all year round, or anything dyed, absolutely will not touch. Any fake flowers I don't touch. So anything like that I won't use. So I do still try to keep everything to my style as much as possible, even if I do have to order in from Holland. Unfortunately, sometimes it's completely unavoidable.
Can't do it. Yeah, I think obviously that one we did Kingsgate last year, you had to, because of the frost and stuff, you had to get some stuff in for somewhere else.
Yeah,
just happens, doesn't it? You can't help it. But have you seen? There's been some flowers that I've seen. I think even from Adam Peaty's wedding. Did you see Adam Peaty's wedding with Holly Ramsey?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
They had just one or two, three big lilies. It looked like they were holding leeks. Someone made a meme about it.
Yes, I saw that.
They were holding leeks. But that's quite a thing that's been seen in the industry recently. It's just big stalks with a single flower or something on the end. Yep. Have you ever had to do anything like that, or what do you think of that as a trend?
It's okay if it's the right kind of flower. No. It's not my style. I think it's too clean, it's too sleek, it's too modern, and that's not really my style. I'm definitely more whimsical, and I like using loads of varieties. But if you are going to use a single variety, it's usually dinner plate dahlias that I do for flower girls. So they hold one single dinner plate one, which is essentially the size of a dinner plate. But it's enough. And I've done it for a few bridesmaids as well. It's mostly a way for couples to keep costs down because it's one flower.
One flower, yeah.
And say if you've got 7 bridesmaids, which I've had to do before, it's a way of making sure they still hold in a flower, but it's not paying for a bridal bouquet for 7 of your mates, basically, because it does get very costly, and you'll be surprised how many of them get chucked on the floor at the end of the night. And you've spent all that money and they're just being chucked. Well, it happened at my wedding.
Oh yeah.
Even my own bouquet, lost it, don't know where it went. So in retrospect I would have saved it, but yeah, so many other things going on that day that they were just all on the floor. The next morning they were just all on the floor.
You didn't do a bouquet toss that you didn't know about?
Well, might have done. Yeah, is that a thing anymore? Do people brides still do that?
That's what I was going to ask you. What do you think about bouquet tosses? A lot of, I have it on my questionnaire, pre-wedding. Are you going to do a bouquet toss? And I think only about 10% of couples do it nowadays. Where it used to be a massive tradition.
But to be fair, I make quite big bouquets. So if you did a bouquet toss with one of my bouquets, someone might get knocked out. So I wouldn't advise it with one of my bouquets. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's maybe one of those traditional things that don't get really carried into a modern wedding.
Yeah.
Every wedding I've been to, there hasn't been a bouquet toss. So I think that might be dying out a little bit. And the fact that people want to keep their bouquets and preserve them.
That's it. Have you ever had it?
That's not going to work.
Have you ever had it where a bride wants to do a bouquet toss, but maybe orders a second smaller bouquet to do it, and then maybe able to keep the main bouquet?
That's a really good idea, but I haven't been asked yet.
I've heard of it happening where a bride's done it, so I just wondered if you've had it. But yeah, no, just order a much smaller one, but yeah, it's quite an interesting way of doing it, I think.
Yeah,
if you want to still do it. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things I think is definitely dying out. Other traditions are dying out in weddings these days. I was trying to think of the other day. There's what was that?
A lot of people, as I've heard now, not doing a cake cut.
Cake cut, yeah. I was about to say cake cut.
Candles, and everybody blows the candles out and then they kiss. instead of
Yeah, have you
cutting.
seen? I've seen that one recently actually, where they blow it from one end, don't they, or something, and then they're
Yeah,
meeting. Because that's a bit of a
yeah,
trendy one. But yeah, I've had cake cutting happen at all sorts of times at weddings this year. Like even when they've just entered the room, and so that's a tradition which I think is kind of. And the bride I had at the weekend even just like, no, it wasn't the bride. It was one of her bridesmaids, I think, said, yeah, it's one of those things where I didn't really want a cake cut because I didn't really want the same photos that from every other wedding, like
yeah. That's true.
standing in front of everybody and blowing out or cutting the cake.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's a few different things which are changing, that's for sure.
yeah.
Speaking of venues, slightly, when couples come to you when they inquire or not too sure about what to go for, do you suggest flowers and stuff based off of what venue they kind of are going for?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
So I work with quite a lot of the same venues as you can imagine. Being in the Cotswolds, we
yeah,
have some of the most beautiful wedding venues around here. So I do work a lot at the same ones. So I've been in the space a lot, so I know what to suggest.
yeah,
And obviously, it depends massively on budget.
yeah, of
But
course.
so for example, crypts. Do you want the hoops done? Do you want something floor level? Are you getting married inside, outside? I work at Wellington Barn a lot.
Yep.
And it's like a beautiful rustic barn. So there are certain things I would suggest there. At the Pear Tree, have you ever worked at the Pear Tree in
I've had a few
Perthyn?
inquiries for it. It's near Swindon,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, that's where I got married
Oh, cool.
myself. So obviously I know that quite well.
Yeah.
But they're up. I got married outside because there was no other option for me. I was getting married outside no matter what, whether it was raining or what. But they have a beautiful indoor room, but it is a very plain white wall.
Okay.
So I do suggest if you're getting married inside against that wall, you need something because you do get completely washed out in the
Yeah.
photos, and it just looks like you're standing on some weird like white photography screen. So I do suggest if you get
studio.
married, yeah, it does.
That must be
So I
weird.
do suggest that something has to go there, or you get married on the other side, which is a brick wall. Because it just looks a bit weird. I've got photos back, and I'm like, oh, I don't think I can use them because they look like staged photos in a photography studio. It's just weird. So yeah, it does help to know the space. If it's a new venue I haven't been to before, I do try and Instagram stalk and get the couple to take photos as much as possible if I can't get to the venue myself. And I do try and suggest what's best in the space. But ultimately they do have their own ideas of what they want.
Yeah, I was going to say, because we've probably talked about it already, where a couple's have got a set of flowers in mind and colour scheme in mind, but you might think actually that might not suit the venue. So have you ever been able to convince couples to change their minds on what they're going for based on venues?
Yeah, quite surprisingly,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think it helps when they come out to the farm. So I've got like a
Yeah, of course.
massive like studio there, and it's got everything laid out, all the bud vases, all the vessels, my archways are there, welcome signs, like, everything's there.
Yep.
So you'll be surprised how many people come in with a set thing in their mind. I show them something, they're like, oh, actually that's a better idea for the space, or oh yeah, you're right, that doesn't quite work, or yeah. So it's quite easy to make people see like maybe that doesn't work in the space without kind of changing their whole ideas of what they want. It just might be, instead of having one single vase, you have three smaller ones, or just something that works a little bit better with the space.
Makes sense. Like in regards to venues and stuff, if you've got an outdoor wedding, is there anything that you do that, or because I never really see it happening, because I'm off doing like group photos or something like that. But what's the best way you can like have your flower, not photos, have your flowers so that they can transfer from, say, if it is an outdoor wedding, from an outside, so bringing them from outside back into the inside. You mentioned obviously at a pear tree you've got that white wall, etc. So what kind of things do you do so that flowers can be easily transferred to kind of suit the outside bit, but then also I'm making questions that just don't make sense to me as I'm asking them, but like mainly because I probably never see it happen. But it's just is it like arches or whatever that work well from outside to inside? What kind of works well, and
Yeah,
etc.
so everything I do, I say you get married, your ceremony is about 30 minutes long. If you get married in a church, obviously it could be an hour.
Yeah.
But once you're done, what happens to those flowers?
Yeah.
You don't want to waste them. So everything I do is in a reusable vessel. Everything has a water source. Nothing is left out of water.
Okay.
So when you see those like the pew ends that are just tied on with no water source, I don't do that.
No.
Because you'll pay money for flowers that are just going to die.
Yeah.
So everything for me is in a water source, whether that's a glass, a vessel, a meadow, a box, something, it will always have a water source. So most of the time, if it's a church or an outside wedding and they want stuff moved inside, depending on the venue will sometimes move it for you. It depends vastly across venues what they're willing to do for a florist. So the couple can pay me to stay and I'll blend into the background while you get married. And then I will quickly like run while you're having your photos done. Me and my mum, you'll see us like running, moving everything over to where you want it to be reused. So I always recommend everything to be reused anyway. We did one at a church once and there was an archway and we had to like put it in the back of the van. And there's me with like trying to carry this massive like pole into the back of the van while they're having their photos taken. So hopefully I'm not in the background of any of those photos. But yeah, we try and hide and we try and be a little bit discreet, but we do get the giggles sometimes. Especially like we were in a church once, we were hiding behind like all these cars and they were like running behind the back. So that would have been quite funny if somebody had actually caught that on video or a photographer had got those photos.
Yeah.
But we try to be discreet as possible. But me and my mum do get the giggles. But yeah, so everything can be moved. It just needs to be in the right vessels.
What I remember from our wedding flowers is just the amount of displays that were like in like the green spongy stuff, which obviously holds water
foam,
quite well. That's the only thing I remember from that day, and then also being able to take the hydrangeas home and plant them, which is quite nice. That was an interesting one because obviously hydrangeas, the flowers are determined by what soil they're in. Is that right? So we were really concerned with because that's what we went with. We had a lot of people that grew it at home. So I had my parents that grew some hydrangeas at home, and then some of my wife's mum's friends that were growing them as well. So we were really concerned that because we were like more on the purpley side, and some came out blue, some came out pink. So we were really actually made for a really nice bunch when they were all together. To be fair, but that's what, because we were concerned. So some people were down in Devon, some people were in Somerset, different soils. It was really weird.
So that's one of the reasons why we do grow hydrangeas, but we mostly grow white. We tried to do blue and they switched to pink, so it was just pointless. So blue is quite a popular colour for the last couple of years, just for Pantones and trends in weddings. And the amount of blue flowers that you get are actually very, very slim. They're more purple. So we did try and grow blue hydrangeas, but because of the soil, they just changed. So we thought, oh god, this is pointless. If somebody wants a blue hydrangea, we'll just order it in from the experts. But so we grow white ones and we grow pink ones, but blue, no. It's just some things are just too difficult, and it's just not worth the effort and the space in the field ultimately for something that's not 100% guaranteed.
I mean, is it like completely potluck then, is it, with hydrangeas?
No, you can, if you've got the right space and the right equipment, you can change your pH levels of your soil.
pH.
But but that's a completely other ball game. And to be honest, we're so busy, we just don't have time to be mixing our own soil and trying to make sure we can get the right pH level for maybe one wedding that's got a blue hydrangea that I can order it in for, because that will probably cost me more to try and do that than it would be to just order in the hydrangeas. But to be honest, because I don't use typical wedding flowers, so for me a hydrangea, if it's up, great, but it wouldn't be something that I would use, because for me that's a typical wedding flower and I don't use typical wedding flowers. That sounds snooty, but I didn't mean it that way. I just mean that I try to make sure that I'm different and I have my unique selling point and I'm growing stuff that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
So that's why you book me, because I can do different things rather than your other florists.
Yeah, it's true. The flowers I've seen from yours are just ones that I don't see very often, to be fair, which is really cool. And then obviously the flowers along with it. So the colours alongside the flowers that are in the bouquets and stuff. Yeah. You mentioned obviously you maybe like hiding behind stuff to stay out the way of photos or out the way of the day. I always ask this question to suppliers that come on the show, mainly because obviously myself being a photographer. There's always ways that maybe other photographers could learn about how to work better with other suppliers. So the question I kind of asked to suppliers is how can photographers work better with florists, and how can florists work better with photographers?
So for me, which you've done really great, and what made you stand out is you sent me loads of detailed photos of my flowers, and I don't get that a lot, if I'm being
Do you
honest.
not?
No, they're either slightly out of focus because they focused on the bride or the
Right.
background or
Yeah.
whatever it may be. Like I got a gorgeous one that came through within like an archway that was rain. Couldn't see the flowers
No.
because they focused on the rain and the silhouette, which was a beautiful photo.
Yeah.
But that doesn't help me try and promote my flowers. And I work with a lot of photographers that don't focus on details. So, say like table decorations
Okay.
or the ceremony setup or the couple actually in situ for the ceremony. I don't get a lot of those photos with the flowers in.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, a couple will go, well, have you got an example? No, I don't. Only my shitty photos that I take on the morning when I'm in a rush. Oh, I need to take a photo, and I quickly take it on my phone. And then it just looks like I've staged the photo, not as like in a real life
Mm-hmm.
wedding. So for me, yeah, the details count. And I actually don't get that a lot. I get a lot of the bouquet and stuff like that, but table decorations, like the archway setups, just stuff like that, I don't really get professional photos back of. Or when, like you said, about moving stuff from outside to inside,
Yeah.
I don't get the photos of how they've been reused. So when a couple
Okay.
says to me, oh, have you done this before? Or how does it move? I don't really have any examples of how it looks after because I haven't been there to see how it's been moved,
Moved.
or I can't exactly stand there and take pictures while the guests are walking around the venue. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not something that I can really do. I kind of just set up, do my thing, and then I go. Yeah, so that would be really good. And the ways that, that I could help a photographer is usually I try to do my bouquets front facing, so the back is flat, so you
Yep.
can lie them down, so you can take a better photo.
Mm-hmm.
So I try not to do them all the way round. One, for the dress, so it doesn't ruin the dress,
Mm-hmm.
and two, so it holds better against the body, so you can take a better photo. And then I was watching a like a tutorial of how to make these bouquets yesterday, and she was saying that anything that snaps off or cuts off, she keeps in like essentially like a hydration chamber, which is just a fancy thing for keeping the flowers fresh.
Yeah.
And she said she then gives that to the photographer to do flat lays, which I
Okay.
thought was a really good idea.
Yeah.
So I might start doing that in the future.
That's quite a big one actually, because when I'm doing flat lays, it's quite early on in the day just to get it kind of out the way, so then I can go back to doing candids of the bride and the bridal party, groom, etc., etc. And it's one thing that I always, because it's a big part of how I edit my photos anyway, it's one of the things where I always say, have you got any flowers that we can use to put on the flat lay? And there's ultimately, it comes down to one, the florist might not be there yet, but they haven't got any like spares or anything that they can do with. So I always either use like a buttonhole. It doesn't really work because it's not the bride's thing. It's it's the groom's. So it's always something that I always feel is missing from doing flat lay. Whether I need to do it maybe slightly later in the day, but then there's other things happening. I don't know, but that's quite a cool way that video is suggesting to kind of make it easier for photographers.
It was also for cake flowers as well. So I do get asked a lot to do cake flowers, and they're mostly the snapped off flowers or the shorter stems. They just cut the stem off anyway and put a wire through it.
Yep.
So usually I do provide quite big buckets of flowers for the cake makers, and a lot gets left over. So if you just happen to be around at the right time, then there are quite a lot of leftover flowers. But yeah, I think it all just depends, timings when the florist gets there in the morning. And yeah, if you do have spares, I mean, I do take spares with me, but then I have a whole field of flowers, so I do have that luxury of being able to just go out to the field and cut a few more just in case some snap en route or whatever. But when you're ordering in from a wholesaler, you have to order in certain amount of packs. And if you order in that pack, then obviously that's a dent to your profit, etc., etc., etc. So I know a lot of florists have recipes. They stick to that recipe. They order in that amount of stems, and that they use them all, and that's it. So there wouldn't be anything spare. But yeah, the beauty of working in a farm is I can just go out to the field.
Pick your own.
But yeah.
I like the point as well that you made about not making the bouquet round all the way around. So there's a flat edge, which I always find is tricky. Either, like you said, laying the flowers down. A lot of registrars, for example, will have the flowers on the table. And if it's not flat on one edge, then it just makes it like you feel like really bad, because most of the time it's me maybe moving it to make it look better in the photos. It's like you feel bad having to then lay it down on like a non-flat edge. And like you said, like detailed photos, which I've been able to get of your flowers and other bouquets. Yeah, it's then being able to say to the bride, "Oh, do you mind like lifting it straight up as opposed to pointing out?" You just feel bad having to like be squeezing that bouquet against you pretty much. So that's it's great that you think about those kind of things, because it does help a lot when it comes to either myself moving the flowers or using the flowers for photos, and then other suppliers too that might just want to put it on a table. So it's nice that you think about that, because not many people think about having a flat edge. So if there are any other florists listening,
yes,
stealing your tip there, sorry.
That's all right. And plus all the nice flowers are at the front then, and they're not being wasted at the back that you don't see. Sometimes if a bride requests like a special flower for sentimental reasons, like I have had one request iris for a nan before, so I've slotted an iris at the back so she can actually see it when she's getting married. Cool. So rather than it getting lost in the front, I would put it in the back. But that's the only thing I would kind of do at the back. If it's more of a sentimental flower, just so they can see it.
Are there any other like small touches that make a big difference with wedding flowers?
Ribbons are a thing. I've had someone give me ribbon from like a veil or somebody's old wedding dress, or I've also have a lot of lockets that I have to tie in the morning, that have like family members. A lot of people have lost their dads, which is really sad. And they say they want them to walk them down the aisle still, so I make sure that that's tied into their bouquet. It's stuff like that, or like sentimental flowers that represent a nan or a granddad or a dad or whoever it may be. I try and incorporate that in for them, even if it means having to buy that in if it's not in season. If it's really important to you and it is sentimental, then that's above everything else. So I'll make sure that that's included for you.
That's nice.
But yeah,
I see a lot of the lockets these days, either a grandparent or a parent. It's so sad when you hear that on a day, or when you talk to them about a month before. But yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah, unfortunately.
There's a point you made a minute ago. So in regards to holding the bouquet, are there any like words that you say to brides? I've got my little saying, but is there a little saying that you like to say to brides? Because you can make this quite rude or not.
Yeah. No, I don't tend to. I just say, just make sure it's held down low. I don't really say the other thing. But yeah, I watched this reel the other day that said some hilarious ones that I'd never even heard of before. But I mostly just say, just make sure it's not in your boobs. It's just down.
Yeah.
Down below.
Do you know what my one is?
Go on.
Stem to gem.
That's a good one.
To be fair, it's the safest option, I think.
It is the safest option.
I've heard so many different options, but stem to gem is quite safe, I think.
That's a good one. I like that.
I have to do this quite often at weddings, where grooms, obviously because it's the first time they've ever done it, but I always, at every wedding without fail, I'm having to put buttonholes on.
It's like your unwritten rule of a photographer, right?
Yeah, it is that, and pocket squares, I think.
Yes.
I like the biggest ones. Do you ever have to do buttonholes? Have you ever had grooms ask you to do buttonholes? Do you just kind of like...
No, luckily I leave before that time. So I drop everything off quite early in the morning.
Yeah.
And then by the time they've actually come to put them on, I'm long gone. But the way I do my buttonholes are slightly different. So I put a brooch pin on the back of all my buttonholes, so
Yep.
you don't have that issue.
I've been seeing a lot more of
Um,
those.
yeah, just because nobody knows how to do a buttonhole.
No.
I feel like that's a dying thing in weddings, that people know how to put on buttonholes. And I find that the pins that you get from the floristry wholesaler are just not suffice, especially again because I make my buttonholes quite elaborate.
Yep.
They just don't hold the weight. And you're stabbing it and they bend and you don't want to ruin the suits. So yeah, for me, a brooch pin works. And then a tutorial that I was actually watching yesterday was about wearables and how to do it better. So now I've got a new way of doing it that I'll try out, with wire that goes through like the gap.
Okay.
So hopefully maybe that might be a better option, but we'll see.
If I see buttonholes from you, it's going to
Yeah.
be, and it's with the wires, I'm just going to be, I don't know what I'm doing here. You have to send me a how to. But it's weird, isn't it? Like one of those things. I just like, come on then, let me do it, because I just have no clue. But yeah, the brooch pins are a lot easier, for sure. And sometimes when you get the actual pins, the big pins, that either just too big for the lapel, or they just bend, especially if they're really long. They just bend. A lot of the times, actually, it's, you mentioned about weight on your ones, but sometimes it's how tightly they're done together.
Yes.
So if the stems are really done tightly, then that's when I find it's really hard to put the pins through.
And if you are a traditional florist, like say you have a traditional shop or whatever it may be, there is a very traditional way of doing buttonholes, the way that I was taught, the way that my mum was taught, where you wire every single flower.
Wow.
I don't do that. Even the leaves are wired. So you're trying to essentially put a pin through wire and it just doesn't work. So yeah, I don't do that. But that is why some buttonholes are really hard to put on, because they're essentially just wire.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a tradition, not a tradition, but some, I don't know, it's more like modern weddings where, or florists that have gone, how can we make these more easy to do for grooms? And that's actually putting the flowers like a bit more flatter on like a bit of card or in an insert, and then they can just put it in their pocket square. So it does away with a pocket square, and it also makes it easier to do the thing. But I've not seen that myself. I've just seen videos of it, which
I do those quite a lot.
You've done them?
I've done a few pocket squares, but it depends on the guy. Some guys don't want that big statement flower. Some want the tiny little pins. Some don't even want buttonholes. My husband didn't want a buttonhole, but I was like, tough, you're having one. Because that was kind of like my portfolio wedding. Like I was like, I need you to wear a buttonhole, because I need the photos. So he was getting one no matter what. But I think that is the consensus. Men do get told they have to wear buttonholes, whether they kind of want them or not. But then if they do come to the consultations, sometimes they don't. I do give them the option. Do you want a big one? Do you want a small one? Like, how would you like it to look? And they're like,
I think people that do fake flowers quite often. I've seen it. Fake flowers are done more in like the pocket square type.
Yes.
But also with regards to, like you mentioned about weight of your ones, but I find roses, they carry a lot of weight, don't they? And that's when I find you have to do the buttonhole maybe slightly in a different way. I normally just go across, so in, out, and back in. Whereas roses, you kind of have to kind of maybe do it straight down so that the weight is kind of like transferred a bit more. All these things photographers you have to think about with
I know.
with regards to buttonholes. We're talking probably more about buttonholes than actual bouquets.
It's quite a big thing though, and then
crazy.
most of the photos I do get back, if they are weighty, by the end of the day and they've been hugged, they end up being like that.
They
so
point
you're
outwards.
Like, they were fine when you like had them on, and then by the end of the photos they're like this. I'm like, oh well.
I spend time readjusting it. If I've done it slightly wrong, I just go around readjusting them. Or if a family member or a best man's done it, and it's one of the things. I just get a bit OCD. I get OCD with wedding dresses and the trains in photos. If it's not like symmetrical, if it's got a lot of detail and stuff, and then buttonholes again, I get really OCD with how straight they are, or This is one of those things I always look out for and go and adjust, and then you always get like a thank you and whatever. But it's
Well, at least
yeah,
you
one
get a
of those things.
thank you.
Yeah,
I went to a wedding once, and I didn't know the florist. It was like a family
yeah.
member's wedding, and she had actually wired the pins, like brooch pins,
Yeah.
onto the wrong side of the buttonhole. So all the buttonholes were back to front. So like, and then my mother-in-law was like, she's a florist, she can sort it out. And I was like, I don't have anything with
You
me. I would
squashed
literally
by
have
now.
had to taken it all apart and redone it.
Yeah,
And they were all the wrong way round. So I was like, oh my God, like, but for me, it was glaringly obvious.
yeah.
Like it was something while they were walking down the aisle, I was like, oh my God, they're all back to front. Like, what is going on? Um, but yeah, it's funny
It's one
the
of
things
those
you
things that
notice.
the bride notices when something's wrong as well.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
not it's happened because normally I make sure it's done properly, but it is done. I've heard of stories where brides have gone, your flowers on wrong. It's on the wrong side, or it's why is it off at an angle? It's that and ties as well.
Yeah.
Bride notices things straight away, which is crazy. Yeah. Just let the photographer do it if they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and that's what I say about my bouquets as well, because they are front facing. I have had a few that are on the side,
oh,
or
really?
my cousin of all people held a bouquet the wrong way round.
No, see
So
the flat
like,
edge.
yeah, so
No.
most of the photos back from my cousin's wedding are the wrong way round.
Do you make with the bouquets? We can move away from pocket squares and buttonholes.
Okay, yep.
Do you? Is there an obvious way? If you have a flat edge, obviously there is an obvious way for bride and maybe holding it, or in your cousin's sake, maybe not. But say if a florist did it in a complete circle or so, yeah. Is there ways that you could make it really obvious as to what is the front way, the front edge?
You can. So if I have to do
Ribbons,
a
I'd
set, like
imagine.
it's like a spiral bouquet, so it's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the way around. That's mostly if they want to use it on the tables after, so it has to be seen 360.
Sure.
But I still do it in a way for the bride bouquet that I'll hold it and then I'll start to slot more key focal flowers in the front, so it does look more obvious what's the front, but it still looks good from all the way around.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are ways, and then the way that I tie the ribbon, the knot will always be at the front, so it dangles a certain way. So I do, when I drop off bouquets, I say this is the way to hold it. Whether they're listening because they've got so many other things going on in their head in the morning is another thing. But pretty much 90% of the time, the photos come back the right way. It's just your own family member comes back the wrong way.
Do some are pins a good way of like where the pins are? Some like bouquets I have, like if the ribbons obviously a dead cert giveaway, but some of them have like pins. Is that like the best place to say that is the front?
It depends on the florist. Some florists would hide the pin, so that would be the back.
Yeah, okay.
But then some would have it in the front, so I have it in the front. So I would wrap it, put a pin in the front, and then when I tie my chiffon ribbon round, then the knot covers the pin.
Pins. Yeah, okay.
It depends on the florist, so it's not always obvious.
Interesting. Yeah. Right, big one for you. Are there any misconceptions in the wedding industry in terms of wedding flowers? So imagine a big one is, can we do it ourselves, DIY style? What would you say about that?
DIY, yes, go for it if you've got the time and you've got an army of helpers to do it. However, if you're one of those people that gets really stressed, you're trying to bite off too much that you can chew, like I did for my own wedding. I did my own wedding flowers and I don't recommend it. You need to be able to enjoy the morning of your wedding.
Yeah.
And if you're sat there doing flowers like I was, you don't. And then I had to sit in front of the aircon for an hour to cool down before I even had my hair and makeup done. I had to be dragged upstairs by my cousins to actually start getting ready. Like it was just a stressful morning of trying to make everything perfect.
Yeah.
And I still could have stayed down there for hours making everything perfect. So I just say, if you're doing stuff, keep it simple. Make sure that you're doing stuff. If you're doing bud vases, which is the key one that everybody does DIY, make sure you're doing it a few days in advance. So everything's done, everything's hydrated in water. It's just so you don't have to worry about it. So I had one bride come to me and she was like, oh, I'm going to do an archway for my wedding myself. And I was like, okay, fine. What are the mechanics? What are you going to use? When are you doing it? She goes, oh, I'll do it the day before. It was a really windy week. I was like, okay, how's that going to stay up? The flowers will be essentially blown off
Everywhere, yeah.
by the time you get to your wedding. And I said to you, for me, archways are done on morning in situ at the venue. Like, that's the only way that you can really do them to make them as fresh and as last as possible. So I was like, on the morning of your wedding, are you going to spend 2.5 hours, probably 3, because you're not as experienced, making an archway? I was like, it's not realistic. So DIY flowers are great if you want to make, with you and all your bridesmaids, make all your bouquets yourself. Buttonholes are fairly easy to make if you follow a tutorial. The very simple way. Bud vases, but anything past that, I would say no. Just for stress and time, it's just not worth it unless you've got a little bit of floristry experience, like one of a bride I had last year before. She was a florist years and years and years ago, and she was like, no, I'm doing my own flowers. She did her own archway, she did everything. She knew what to do, she had all the stuff in place, and it was absolutely fantastic. But if you don't have that experience, I get stressed out when I've got a lot to do, and I've had quite a few years experience now. But if you don't have that and you're trying to everything else on top of what you've got to do for your wedding, sometimes it is just not worth it. And we aren't just saying that just for us to do it. It's literally, we are trying to save you the hassle and the stress, because we have been there ourselves. Like, my wedding was super stressful. I got married during COVID, so it was even more stressful. Just trying to get everything organised. But yeah, so I don't recommend doing anything on the morning of your wedding, which is when you really need to be doing it, all the day before. Because I just got sick of my flowers in the end, and I said to my sister, oh, whatever, go to town. So she ended up finishing the hoop that was meant to go on the ceiling, and I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, just no. But bless her, she tried her best. I was just so sick of it by that point. I was like, I just don't want to look at it anymore. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Here's a controversial one for you.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on artificial flowers?
They serve a purpose. I think because I work from I grow the flowers, it's very natural. I work from a farm. For me, everything for me needs to be natural. That's just my style. That's just what I like. But I understand that fake flowers do need to be used. They serve a purpose, especially if it's a really, really hot day. You've got a limited budget and you want a massive arch. You can basically hire out these arches that are a fraction of the cost of what a fresh florist would do. I get that. But the dyes that go into it, the plastic that goes into it, it's just a big no from me. And if you mix, and my big no is if you either go all fake, or you go all fresh. Don't mix the two together, because they think that you can match the colours. No. I did a wedding once, and it was, again, my autumnal kind of,
the vibes.
Look, and then they'd done the staircase in fake flowers, and the orange was so bad. Like,
really
bright. You could tell that it was fake, like straight away. So if you're going to have a white, then you can probably get away with it. But if you're going to deal with colours, fake and real flower colours are just completely separate, and you will tell the difference, and it will be glaringly obvious. Even to an untrained eye, you mix the two, and it just won't look good. So if you're going to stay fake, all fake. But yeah, for me, I just would never. Yeah, for me, it's a big no-no.
I had a bride a couple of years ago, probably a budget thing. Not entirely sure, but the flowers were made from recycled card or paper.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I think there was a florist that does it that way, which I thought was really interesting. Whether it is from a sustainability thing that the couples are really into, I'm not entirely sure. But that was quite an interesting thing.
Yeah.
I saw.
I've seen them done for shoots and stuff where they make big paper flowers. They're really cool. But yeah, stuff like that's really interesting and really cool. I had somebody approach me once, but she ended up doing it herself, that made all paper buttonholes.
Okay.
So I was like, if you want to do that, that's completely fine.
Any origami specialists out there?
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
I was in an origami club once.
Really?
Yeah, then it folded. I had to get a dad joke in there. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh dear. Viral content, no joking. I said at the beginning of the show today, flowers make such a big part of how I photograph, or actually edit the photos, not necessarily photograph. But if I do see a really vibey bouquet and displays, for me it just lights up the day. Don't know what it is. Maybe it's the age thing, but yeah, I what I do for couples, and you probably might have seen from both or from the weddings that I've photographed your flowers in, that the photos all look different based on the things. So for couples listening to this show, it's not really a question as such, but I edit everyone's galleries differently, and it's all based on the colours of the flowers or the types of flowers in a very subtle way. So that's how I kind of, because I feel flowers have a massive part to play in wedding days. It can set the tone. It can really fill the venue out, or it can, if there's barely any flowers, and it can make it look very bare. And it does. I do feel like when especially as a guest, you go into a place and it's filled lovely with flowers, it just brings out a different vibe, different tone to the day, I feel. But yeah, again, from me, from my point of view, yeah, flowers play a massive part in a wedding day. And the weddings that I've worked with you, the flower, I feel like I've enjoyed editing the photos more as well, just because the flowers are just so different and so vibey. That's the word to use now, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess because we're getting towards the end of this, and my waffling, there we go, is going crazy today. Maybe I should start drinking some tea or coffee. But in regards to advice you can give to couples on this podcast, on this episode, what's one of the or what one thing should every couple know about wedding flowers? It's very open, but
I would say, in general, as we talk about seasonality, it's just be aware. If you haven't booked your wedding yet, if you want certain flowers, then that will determine the time of year that you book your wedding. And also what types of flowers are available. So if you are quite chill with your flowers, then it doesn't really matter what time you get married. I've known people that want to get married in spring. So you get the spring flowers. If you want to get married in autumn or have a winter wedding, then that will determine the overall look. So it's just a thing to think about what you want your overall look to be. And what you want in the space. So where you're getting married will determine greatly what flowers that you have. I mean, some people say the venue speaks for itself. We don't want lots of flowers. And some people are like, well, it needs something. It's really, really bare. So I think it honestly depends where your venue is, the colours that you want, and the time of year you get married. But if you are working with a farmer florist, or even just a normal florist who does order in seasonally, we will order in seasonally based on, the colour palette and the very best available at that time of year. Just so you get the best for your money, the longevity of it. And for me, ultimately, it's giving you something completely different that nobody else has. And you get that. I don't think I've ever done the same bouquet twice because of the time of year, the flowers available, and the colour palette.
Style.
So, yeah.
Christmas weddings are an interesting one, aren't they? Because a lot of venues fill it out with Christmas trees and decorations. So you don't see as many florals at winter weddings. But what's one of the biggest couples? Put my teeth in as well. What's the biggest mistake couples should try and avoid with regards to wedding flowers?
I think people think that they need all these big, elaborate tablescapes. But what I say to them is, honestly, it depends on the venue. But most venues have quite small tables. And by the time you've got your wine bottles, your glasses, your favours, everybody's got a drink from the bar, like it just gets so full. You don't need some big elaborate things on the table, or flowers at all. Sometimes some people just go for candles, but I think people think that they need these big massive things on the tables, when in reality there are so many other things on your table that keep your tables quite simple, and then put your budget to where you have your photos taken, your ceremony space, an archway on the doors, wherever it may be. That's my advice, to try and think of where you have your photos taken, and that's where if you want flowers involved in that, that's where they would be. Because I think people waste a lot of, especially if you've got 10 tables and say it's like an £80 centerpiece, that's 800 quid for 10 tables for centerpieces. So it's quite a lot of your budget on tables, depending on the amount of guests that you've got.
Yeah.
That may be redirected somewhere else for florals that would be better of use.
Tables are an interesting one for me, especially when it comes to speeches, and you've got those big, because like you mentioned, if you've got all that stuff on the table, and then you've got a bunch of flowers in the middle, sometimes guests can't see from one side of the table to the other. So a lot of venues have now got these like see-through, like cuboid kind of things with the flowers then on top.
Yeah.
For me, do you like those at all? Or, no. From a photography point of view, it's great for your guests, but when you're then trying to like scoot around different positions for photographing the speeches, it makes it such hard work. Especially, I've known a few videographers that just as soon as they enter the room and they see the big like bits coming up nice and high, they're just like, where am I going to put my tripods now? But
I did have one photographer say to me though, I make my, the table sprays that you usually have on your registrar table and then they go on top table. I mean, as I've said before, I do things quite big.
Yeah.
So I do try and rein it in a little bit, but I do want you to have show-stopping pieces.
Yeah.
This photographer came in, he was like, I'm not even going to see him. And he goes, I'm putting that on the floor. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I move some things.
I was like, do whatever you need to get the photo. Like,
yeah, on top tables, I quite often move candles or wine bottles out the way of the bride and groom. There's not many times I move flowers, but if they are like massive, then I'll move them to the side rather than on the floor. But yeah, there's different ways you can do it, and it's only for speeches. Just put them back. Just put them back afterwards.
And I'm not offended by that. You've got to do what you've got to do to get your photos, and that's ultimately what's important. I mean, it sucks if my flowers aren't in the photos because I don't get a good photo, but it is what it is, isn't it? It's ultimately the couple's day, and the photos of them matter more than my flowers.
Mm-hmm. That's
unless
true.
they want the flowers in the photo.
Perfect. Well, it's been great show. Obviously, I've not been on form. You've been great, especially some of the questions I've asked. I don't know how you've produced some answers, but yeah, it's been a great show, and yeah, thank you very much for coming on. I said I love flowers, and whether it's the excitement of having someone talk about flowers and how I love photographing them is maybe me making my mind just go all over the place. I don't know, or it's just a lack of caffeine. Who knows? But yeah, where can everybody find you, Amy, online?
So I'm Flutter Florals. So you can find me at Amy Flutter Florals on Instagram or Facebook if people still use that. And my website is just flutterflorals.co.uk.
TikTok's becoming a big one.
I know. I have been thinking about it, but
it's just another platform, isn't it?
Am I too old for TikTok? I feel like I'm getting to that age now where I'm like, oh no, am I a bit past that?
As I said in a few episodes now, I had a bride the other day who booked everybody apart from myself and videographer on TikTok. So whether the times are changing, I don't know.
Yeah, my cousin, she does nails and stuff. She was like, yeah, you need to get yourself on TikTok. And I'm like, yeah, but what do I put on there?
I just
know it's the same stuff, but yeah.
It's just another platform to open, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll think about that one.
Yeah.
Maybe TikTok in the future.
In the future. It's another trial thing, like your pressing of the flowers. So
yes, exactly.
Trial run it first.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you don't have to do any dances or anything on there.
No, I definitely won't be doing any of that.
Well, it's been great having you on the show, Amy. And yeah, hopefully, it's really a hard one to always tell when we're going to be working again together, because I only really find out either on the day or in a questionnaire that I send out a month before. So it's always hard to tell when the next one's coming. But I do love your work, and if anyone wants to obviously check out Amy's work, then do head over to the links and that she mentioned a few minutes ago. But yeah, thank you very much, Amy, for coming on the show. And you got much planned for the rest of the day?
I have to go to the fields.
There we go. It's that time of year, isn't it? March is the big
It is.
time of year, isn't it? If you don't do it now, it's too late.
Yeah, all the dahlias arriving need to be potted up. Yeah, it's a very, very busy time of year. Get it all out the way before busy wedding season starts. So yeah.
Yeah, so when does wedding season start for you?
So I've got my first wedding this weekend, one
Nice.
next weekend, then a break, and then from May it's go, 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 go.
Nice. Well, hopefully it goes well for you, and hopefully our paths will cross again.
Yes,
and you'll
hopefully.
get some nice detailed photographs.
Thank
Of
you.
your flowers, of course. I've never actually been able to capture you and your mum because it's one of those things. You just disappear, don't you?
It's fleeting. Yes, we do that intentionally.
Yeah, you don't want to be in
We
them.
do not. No, we do not like our photos being taken. Yeah, even my own wedding photos, I'm not that fond of because I just hate photos being taken of me. I just don't like. Yeah, maybe someone can change my mind and take a really nice photo of me. I don't know, but you have to be quick because I don't pose.
You just do a flower renewal and get some done.
Yes,
redone.
We have been thinking about that because our wedding wasn't quite what we expected it to be because of COVID.
Yeah.
But I think it will be how we originally planned. I wanted to get married in Thailand.
Oh wow.
And then we ended up, we just love Thailand. We've been so many times. But obviously COVID didn't make that happen, and ill family and, unfortunate circumstances. We got married here. But if we were to do it again, it would be on the beach in Thailand like we originally planned.
You have to do it. You'll have to do it one day.
We'll just go to Thailand. We'll just
do it.
Not even care about the vows, but
some
we said it's 10
flowers
years.
in Thailand, I tell you.
Yeah.
Some beautiful flowers out there.
We'll see. We'll see. Might just go on holiday, but yeah, we'll see.
Perfect. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. And thanks very much for coming on the show. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much to Amy coming on the show and talking all things wedding flowers, bouquets, and even buttonholes, which we seem to talk about for quite a while in the end. But really appreciate Amy coming on, and I look forward to working with her again in the future. Next show, or next episode, should I say, we've got another celebrant on the show, which is great because I love this person's work. I've worked with her quite a few times now, and I've really enjoyed how personal she really makes the ceremonies in particular. And one wedding, I think we'll talk about, maybe I won't give it away now. But anyway, so yeah, next week, you have to make sure you tune in for it. Next week, we've got Eleanor coming on from the Full Stop Celebrant. So really looking forward to having Eleanor on the show. But until the next one, I'll see you then.